Hey everybody, it's Beth from Yoga and Reiki Bliss. Thanks so much for meeting me here today. Our practice today is going to focus a little bit on mobilizing the spine, particularly around the thoracic spine, like the middle upper back area. Opening up the sides of the waist, particularly the intercostal muscles, and creating even a little stretch for our diaphragm muscle, all so that we can hopefully breathe with a little more freedom, a little more ease. So for our practice today, I'd love you to have two blankets or two towels or a blanket and a towel. Two is the magic number. All right, so let's hop on over to the mat. And if we're going to start on hands and knees, tabletop. So if you need a little blanket under your knees, I would encourage you to have that little extra cushioning. And so give yourself a good foundation. Let your knees set under your pelvis, so maybe about a fist or two apart. So it's right under your hip bones, your hip points. And let your hands set so that your collarbones feel spacious. And then in this position, just take a moment to breathe. And as you breathe, notice where you sense the movement of your breath the most. Is there any part where the breath feels restricted? And then with your exhale, we're going to gently round your whole spine. So give a little tuck of your pelvis so your tail curls down. Let your spine round up toward the sky and just gently drop your head and then take a breath in here. And take a breath out. Again, take a breath in and see if you can find some breath in the back of your lungs. Let's take one more breath here. And then when you exhale, tilt in the other direction. Let your tail lift, let your heart lift. Even keep a strong frame of your arms so that you're not sinking or collapsing, right? Just a nice, strong little push and take a few rounds of breath here. And with your abdomen in this little sort of stretched position, right? Your pubic bone and your breastbone moving away from each other. Notice where you breathe, where you feel the movement of breath. And then let's give this a little more movement here. As you exhale, let's go ahead and curl and round. Come back to cat and take a breath in. And then when you exhale, tilt into cow. And when you're ready, stay in the pose, but inhale your breath. Again, exhale, curl and round. And welcome a breath in. And as you exhale, dip into a little cow. And welcome a breath in. And let's do that one more time. So moving on your exhale, staying for the inhale. And again, moving on the exhale. And staying for the breath in. Now find your way to the space between where you're neither in cat nor cow. And take your right hand to your hip. So big, strong push through your left arm so you're supported. And the next time you inhale, turn your rib cage to the right. You can let your head turn if you like. And now take your right arm and thread it behind your left wrist. You can bend your left elbow and reach on through. Then push down, take your right hand to your hip. Again, turn your ribs to the right. And exhale, thread through to the left and reach. We'll do that one more time. Hand to your hip, turn to the right. And exhale, thread through. Now let's breathe our way back to table and just take a moment to feel your breath. And to notice how the right side of your body receives the breath versus your left, just to see if there's any little changes. And then let's take your left hand to your hip. Again, strong push through your right arm. So you've got a nice stable base here. And when you inhale, turn your ribs to your left and then thread it on through. Push down, turn your ribs to the left and thread it on through. And one more time. Then breathe your way back to table. And again, just feel your breath. And now walk yourself up to kneeling. And let's take your right foot forward. And then we're going to walk it a few steps off to the right. And then we're going to outstretch that leg. So you're resting more or less on the center of the back of your right heel. You're going to think of drawing up through your hips, through your rib cage. So your spine is sort of lightly floating skyward. And we're going to reach your left arm up. As you reach your left arm up, see if you can imagine lifting up the back of your rib cage, right off the back of your pelvis. And then invite a little side bend over. And in this side bend, Parigasana, we'll take a few rounds of breath, trying to invite the breath into the left side of your left lung. So the muscles that line the rib cage get a little stretch, right? And so that facilitates our breathing. If those guys are tight, it's hard for the ribs to move and expand, which makes expansion for the lungs challenging, right? It's like trying to expand a balloon in a tiny little box. Not going to go very far. Let's take one more breath. And then breathe your way up. And come back for just a moment. You can rest here or on two knees. And again, just sense your breath right to left. And then let's check it in on the other side. Step your left foot forward. Walk it a little out to the left, just a little, so that your thigh's sort of on a diagonal. And we'll outstretch that leg again, right on the center of your heel. As you root through your shin, you're going to think of drawing up tall. We'll reach the right arm up and we'll invite that little side bend. And so with each breath, you're rooting down and getting a little bit longer through your fingertips. Each exhale, maybe you drop into the side bend just a little bit more deeply, and we'll stay and we'll breathe. And we'll see if there's room to invite the ribs, or invite the breath rather, into the right side of your right lungs. And we'll take one more breath. And then when you breathe in, we'll come all the way up. You can pause here or back to two knees. And again, just sense your breath. Okay. And so now here's where our two blankets come in. Go ahead and take your first blanket. You're going to do the same fold with each of the blankets. So I outstretched my first one into this long rectangle. I'm going to fold it from short side to short side to make a smaller rectangle. And then I'm going to fold it one more time, long side to long side. So now it makes a long, thin rectangle. And I'm going to run that down the center of my mat so that the long edge of my blanket is parallel to the long edge of my mat. I'm going to fold my second blanket the exact same way, conveniently folded. And I'm going to run that across. So it's like a plus side. And, given the dimensions of your body, it might be a more centered plus. It might be a slightly lower plus. But where I love this crossways blanket to land is somewhere around like your middle back, like hooking the back edge to the bottom tips of your shoulder blades. And so you'll sit your bum on the mat and we'll lie back. And your head will drop a little bit downward behind you. Now, if you get here and you're like, "Ooh, this is just too extreme for my body," then unfold this bottom one time. And we'll still have the cross hatch there so that you can still get this little uplift. And so I'm going to scooch mine down a little bit for my dimensions of my trunk. So this is where we'll be. And then we'll let the arms maybe just soften out to the side like a T. And hopefully you're getting a sense right at the very bottom of your sternum, your breastbone, that long bone that connects the rib cage, right at the bottom where the ribs start to V away from each other. Perhaps you'll notice there's a little extra space there, a little expansion. Right under there is where our diaphragm muscle lives. That's our main breathing muscle. And so we're just giving that area a little stretch, which, if you think about it when you're sitting all day, if you slump a little bit, you can imagine how compressed that area can be. And so we're just in the same breathe. You can keep your knees bent. You could widen your feet and let your knees come together. Go for a feeling of ease here, a feeling of comfort. And again, just take a moment as you settle in to notice where you feel the breath moving the most. Can you let your jaw have a little softness? Allow your brow to release. And see if rather than trying to do or create something in this shape, you can allow your body to gently rest into it, to receive the support of the shape, receive the shape. And with this thought of receiving the shape, could you receive the breath? So instead of trying to pull the breath in or push the breath out or tell the breath to go somewhere, now can you just receive it and see, feel where it goes? If you're enjoying this and you'd like to stay longer, by all means, stay longer. Otherwise, let's take one more breath in together and one more breath out. And then we'll gently roll to one side and take your top hand and put it on the ground, maybe just in front of your chest, and pause. Let your head turn a little downward, your chest turn a little downward, and use your top hand to help push you up. And as you push up, can you let your head stay a little heavy? So you allow it to be the last thing to come on up. And then as you like, maybe sit right up on the edge of your top blanket so the pelvis is a little bit elevated, and just have a moment to sit and to breathe. Your spine gently floating effortlessly up out of the anchor, the bowl of your pelvis. And just notice your breathing. You might notice where you feel it. You might notice if something has changed around the ease of breathing or even the quality of it. All right, friends, thank you so much for meeting me here today. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube page, please do so. Um, just a great way for us to stay connected. If you know people who would enjoy this kind of practice, please send them our way. If you're curious to learn more about me, about our classes, and how we can support you with movement and breathing, check out my website, thisisyourbliss.com, and you can find me on all the social medias at This Is Your Bliss. All right, have a fantastic day. Keep breathing, and I will look forward to seeing you soon.